Welcome to Fast Pitch Live at Rip It headquarters. My name is Brandon Judd, and today we are bringing you the most technologically advanced show yet. So, to remind you of last week, we gave away this backpack. It is the Pack It Up bag, and we will be doing giveaways on every show. And the winner of the previous show was the Dr. Phillips softball page. So we have announced that in previous week. We'll be announcing this week's winner next week. And this week's giveaway is the Vision Pro softball helmet. This is the matte charcoal color, which has been incredibly popular, and a lot of people are really loving this. So I think you guys are going to love it. All you have to do to be eligible to win is to comment below, tag a coach or a parent, and then click the share button. So we'll be reminding you of that frequently throughout the show. But this helmet is awesome. You guys are going to love it. And today we have a very special coach with us. I am the VIP manager here at Rip It, and we have a coach here with us, John Denny, and he is a professional. He's a professional batting coach. So we are going to have him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself, and then we'll get going.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me on the show. I've been a professional batting coach for the last 15 years, and I basically decided to get into coaching because I've messed up so many things in my own career and mechanics, and I have a real gift of teaching, and I like kids, and I want to help kids and athletes achieve their goals. And so that's kind of how I got into it, and I've been doing it out in Orlando for the last 14 years, but now I'm out in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm doing more online FaceTime mentoring now, and not as much hands-on lessons.
Perfect. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, back to our audience here for a second. Like I mentioned, we have a really technologically advanced show for you. Today we're going to be doing some screen shares live here, and we're going to have John go through some of his batting techniques, some common problems and mistakes, as well as corrections. And then we're going to be doing that through this Coach's Eye app. So I myself am also a professional wakeboard coach. So John and I kind of have that passion for coaching together. And I use this app as well in my own personal coaching. And what it allows you to do is pretty cool. It allows you to take like a correct version and line it up next to the version that you're trying to work on. And we can directly compare and contrast. You're able to draw on it and everything. So you guys are going to be able to experience a little bit of that today, a little bit of what John is expert in. And the technology is just really neat. So we wanted to leverage that for you guys today. So along with the helmet that we're giving away, we will be giving a personal one-on-one session with John remote. So if you want to submit, for example, a video of yourself or one of your girls working on a batting technique, for example, John can take that video and compare it to a correct version and show you some of the differences. And if you don't have a recorded video, there's an opportunity that there could be some FaceTime involved. So it'll be a really fun, quick one-on-one session with him. And John, do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of what you offer in that and what that will look like?
Yeah, I'm going to offer just looking at the video. Like, you can either FaceTime me, and Brandon will have all my information, FaceTime, or just go right through the Coach's Eye app. You can send me videos. I can analyze them. Also, you know, this is a mental game. So not only mechanically, but if you have a player that is struggling mentally, maybe they're confused because of terminology and mechanics, or they have several coaches telling them the same thing or different things and they're confused on it, I can straighten those kind of things out. I'm a master at that kind of stuff, and I've been doing that for a long time. I'm kind of like the glue that gets everybody put together. And so mentally, mechanically, any advice you want to ask me over my career. I played a while, and then also I've coached for a while. So anything that I can do to help out and make the coaching experience better, or your player a better athlete for you, anything would be included in that.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
And again, to remind everyone out there, in order to win this helmet and a one-on-one coaching session with John, you just need to tag a parent or coach and share the live video. So that will make you eligible, and we will pick a winner and announce them in next week's show. So it should be really fun. All right, so John, let's talk coaching here for a minute.
Okay.
One thing that I've noticed kind of through my coaching career is, and that I kind of love about coaching, is we can take 10, 20 years of experience, and we can have our students sort of stand on the shoulders of that experience and not have to go through all of the problems and mistakes and issues that they're going to run into if they try to navigate that themselves. How does that work specifically in batting? What are some of those things and mistakes that they're just going to naturally make that you can kind of help them skip and not even have to deal with?
So what's so great is the software that we have available to us today. So, but with slow motion, pretty much everybody has a smartphone now, and you can download a quick app, or you can even slow mo on just your regular camera speed. And what they always teach at the higher levels, whether it's in Major League Baseball or minor league baseball, Division I college baseball, or even softball, or going to professional softball, it's a game of inches as you move up the ladder. So, if you're a younger girl or a coach of a younger team, and your kids are 8, 9, 10 years old, and they're being successful right now, if they don't continue to grow and work on their speed, their quickness, their explosion, faster hands, training their eyes to pick up a ball faster, they will fall behind. And what's so awesome is the game of inches. We can actually slow it down on the camera, where I can see it frame by frame. And when you see something, a lot of people can learn by just visual aids. And so when they see their swing broken down into slow motion, their throwing mechanics, their fielding mechanics, their pitching mechanics, sometimes just seeing it will help them click. But when you slow it down and you have someone who understands the mechanics, and you can compare those to people that are doing it right, like you were saying, a light bulb will flick on in a hitter's head, and you'll have hitters. I have tons and tons of hitters that come to me and call me, and they're struggling, and they haven't had a hit for 2 or 3 games. They're striking out a lot, and quickly just looking at their swing. Communication is very, very important. The way that I communicate the mechanics to them, that's something that a good coach, understands their players. And if I can communicate to them the right way, I have hitters that go from striking out 3 times in a game, I've never seen them, to hitting very well the next game, and even, hitting like a home run or something that they've never hit, just by communicating and breaking down the swing and making it where they can learn. So the technology, and I think we'll get into that in a second with these swings that I have booted up, but that the technology just makes my job as a coach easier, and it makes the communication process. It just takes the communication process to the next level. So.
Right. So something I experienced in my wakeboard coaching too that I think is really cool about the video tech that we have is oftentimes someone in wakeboarding, for example, they often think that they're standing all the way tall, and they'll tell you, if you ask them straight-faced, are you standing up as tall as you can? They're like, oh, I absolutely am. And then you show the video, and their knee is bent like 15 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's really cool where people's perception of what they're doing and what's actually happening is often different. So being able to bring this video to them and have them say, hey, we need to match up the feeling that you have in your head with what's actually going on. And that closing that distance between their perception and reality makes them a much more accurate athlete. So I think that's really cool that you bring that to the table. So let's show an example here that I know we've kind of talked about, that you've queued up in Coach's Eye. Let's talk a little bit about a swing, and so we can kind of see how this applies more specifically.
Okay, so I've got 2 hitters here, and they're both high school age hitters, and we'll just refer to them as blue shirt and orange shirt to keep it simple. I'm gonna play the video. The girl in the blue shirt is doing a drill, which I'll explain in a second, and the girl in the orange shirt is just simply hitting. And they're both doing tee work right now, which tee work is very, very important if you're going to be a hitter. So, and we can talk about that more. But I'm going to play this, and we're basically seeing two swings, and I'll just go and explain now. So we have two hitters that look like they're almost hitting the ball at the same time, and I'll get into why that, what's going on here. But when we break it down frame to frame, we can see right here that our hitter in the blue is impacting the ball, way earlier than the hitter in the orange, but it doesn't look like that when you're looking at the video full speed. And so this is how the technology can help me as a coach, because if you're a young coach or an inexperienced coach, or even if you have a lot of tenure as a coach, I can't see this kind of stuff unless I break it down. My eye is very good. It's trained. I've seen thousands and thousands of hitters and swings, but I can't see it unless I break it down like this. So I have my hitter in the blues impacting the ball, and she's getting into the ball, and then my hitter in the orange is now impacting the ball. So what this means for these hitters is, if these girls want to go on, say both of these hitters are hitting fine in high school, if they want to go on to the next level in college, if the hitter in the orange doesn't shorten up her swing and get it more compact, she will struggle with pitchers that are throwing at a higher velocity, and that's that whole game of inches. They always say, like in baseball, a minor leaguer, a guy in AAA or something, he is just a step away from the major leagues, but he's not as consistent, right? So that's why he's not in the major league. So getting that consistency is working on the mechanics and tightening up whatever we need to tighten up. So talking about the swings here. So the girl in the blue, I have her doing a walking drill. So loading, if you're a coach and hitting mechanics, we have a load where we're loading our hands back, and we have a stride where we're striding. Some people call it triggering. Some people call it separation. There's a lot of different terms for it, but basically we want to create some kind of a momentum to impact the ball. So we're just not hitting it from standing still. So the hitter in the blue is working on a walking drill to get her momentum going. And as they both come down or their foot comes down, if we pay attention to where their hands are. So my hitter in my blue, her hands are kind of by her shoulder. I wouldn't say that her swing is perfect, but this is more of the swing that you're going to see as a coach out on the field. This hitter over here in the orange, her hands are far away from her body. So she has way too much separation from her shoulder to her hands. So that's why her bat is lagging. It's taking a little too long to get to contact than my other hitter. You can see the hitter in the orange. We'll put this dot back up on her hands. As she comes down to the ball, now she's starting to pull her hands in next to her body. But by the time she does that, if the pitcher's throwing fast, so high school speed fast, I would say would be in the low 60s to mid 60s. The hitter in the orange is going to struggle on an inside fastball in the 60s, where my hitter in the blue will probably get a piece of that. And these are the things when we're talking about dissecting a swing. You've got a hitter striking out a lot. Well, you can't sometimes just go from striking out a bunch and you have slow bat speed to hitting. But if we can go from slow bat speed to actually making contact or getting a piece of the ball and fouling it off, and then work up from there, then we're making some good adjustments. So just to talk about kind of like ways that we can fix this. If you have a hitter that's getting long in their swing, I'm going to use this girl in the blue as an example. So I'm going to draw on her real quick. So if we just set up ourselves on the tee, and we kind of, as a drill, we rest our bat on our shoulder, and we keep both of our elbows down, almost like we've been tied down to our our core right here. And if we just work on staying short and hitting into the ball from there, that'll help shorten up our swing. Um, that's a
Nice.
very,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
so kind of the physics behind it, some of the concept, like if you're spinning on your desk chair and your arms are out wide, you're going to spin slower, right? And if
Yeah,
you bring your arms in, everything's going to rotate quicker. Is that kind of the physics behind
exactly.
having everything in tighter? It lets you spin quicker with
Yeah.
your rotational twist, and then being able to have the speed of the bat travel faster at point of contact. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's just like a figure skater. You watch the skaters on the Olympics, they pull their hands in tight to their body, they spin faster, their arms go away, they spin slower. You want your hands to ride that the torque of my core and my hips. And if my hands are away from my body, it's going to make my bat speed so much slower getting to contact.
Sweet. This is awesome. I coming from a different sport, it's really fun to watch this be applied in batting and hitting techniques, because I've taken a swing at a ball before and I had no idea all this mechanics that are involved, which is awesome. So I love what we're doing. I really appreciate your expertise here. This is great. And then just for the audience to kind of remind them, tag a coach or parent, and as get a private lesson with Coach John Denny here. So just as a reminder, that's how we can tap into that. So anyway, back to you, John. Was there any other things you wanted to talk about in that, some of those drills and the hitting process?
Yeah, so I've got another video here of a hitter, and this is actually my daughter. And so this is a one-handed drill, and a lot of times in the you have to know your body type as a hitter. So my daughter's 6 feet tall. She's got some thickness as far as some muscle, um, but she still gets long in her swing because she's a longer type person. So the shortening up the swing and doing a one-handed drill. This is simply just a little t-ball bat that's made for like a 6-year-old, and I'm just having her do one-handed. You can see where her hand is by her shoulder, and as she's impacting the ball, how she's in a strong, compact position. Um, so she's using her left hand, which is her weaker hand. She's a right-handed thrower, and so I train her. I train her on that front hand, that lead hand, because sometimes the lead hand is the one that's going to leak the knob. So the knob of the bat is right here, and sometimes that's going to leak that knob out and around. So even my daughter Kyrie will she'll leak and go around. So this, you can see, it's more of a direct route to the ball, and she's getting to the level, and she's been competing in tournaments where she's seeing most pitchers that are in the mid 60s, and she's learning. She's only a freshman, but she's learning how the importance of that. I can't waste an inch in length back in here. I can't leak my hands back in here. I have to be short and quick if I want to succeed at the higher levels. So this is something that we work on. And then you can do the backhand too, the right hand. My daughter's a pitcher, so she throws right-handed. You want to be easy on the backhand. There's something called tennis elbow. So if you do too much on that backhand and you're swinging, so if this is my bat and I'm swinging through, I can actually irritate. I can irritate my elbow if I do too much on that backhand. So
Nice.
only do as much on the backside as your hitter's comfortable with doing. You don't want to irritate them, especially if they're a pitcher or someone who's a position player. They're throwing a lot, but working on a one-handed drill this way is a good way, because the body has to support to get the bat around, because you're isolating one hand. It's a lot easier to screw up the mechanics and get long when you have two hands on the bat.
That makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of stuff that I'll do in wakeboarding that is one-handed as well, to force your body mechanics to work right. So it's really cool to take the strong arm out of it, put the weak arm into it, and have it guide the process. That's really really smart. Yeah, That's great. Thanks for that.
Yeah, man. And I think too, and you just, and this is my experience. Typically, I've coached boys and girls, and typically girls have weaker hands and arms, but they have stronger lower bodies than boys. And so you have to, I have to go into my lessons understanding my body type and what kind of hitter I have, and then I need to train. Like my daughter's very strong in her legs when she hits. Her hands aren't very strong, so she does squeezing grip work. We work on fingertip push-ups. We work on all kinds of little things to strengthen her hands, but that's just specific to her. If you're weak lower body, then there's different drills that you can do, and so understand your hitter. If you've got a girl that's really strong upper body and she's weaker lower body, then the drills and everything would totally change. But this is something, if you've got a hitter who struggles with that lead arm and they're struggling getting long, just a simple one-handed drill, and you don't have to go heavy with a bat. You don't want to go out and get a huge, heavy one-handed wood bat trainer. Just do a very light softball bat, or a T-ball bat, just to make sure the mechanics are right. Once the mechanics are right, we can build on the strength. But you don't want to, if you start, and you know this from wakeboarding, man, that foundation is so very important. So if we can start our hitters, our players with a really solid foundation, we can build on that. And a lot of times, even high school kids will come to me and they haven't had that foundation built, and we have to build it in high school. And sometimes it becomes too late if that hitter wants to go on to a higher level. So, especially if there's coaches that are watching that have younger teams, if you can build mechanically and mentally a strong foundation in your players, it's a game. It's a mental game. If you can build that now, then they're gonna go further than someone who doesn't have that foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to tell people. I learned this quote from Peter Vidmar, who's an Olympic gold medalist in gymnastics. He said, "Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Only perfect practice makes perfect."
Yeah.
Because the foundation and the fundamentals that you have are the things you're going to be repeating the most. And if those are incorrect, then you're starting everything and ingraining all these bad habits into you, because you may be practicing it a bunch, but if you're practicing the wrong thing, you're actually ingraining the incorrect thing into your muscle memory. So it is really key that we work on a lot of these details, just like you're saying, which I think is correct, really great, and easily corrected when you have an extra pair of eyes and a skill set of experience to kind of help you with that. So we have Ryan Killingsworth had mentioned a comment. We may have covered some of this already, but he says,
Yeah.
How do you correct if the batter is a little too long to the path of the softball, her stride? I assume you know what that means. I know a little bit less of what that means because I'm not as familiar with how those are phrased. But yeah, we may have covered some of that. But what are your thoughts on that?
And he's asking about the stride, like the player stride.
Yeah, he says if the batter is a little long to the path of the softball.
Okay.
And then.
So
Yeah.
some of those drills we talked about will help shorten up the swing. I mean, if a player's getting long, like sometimes, as we're creating that tension in our swing, we're loading our hands back, we're taking our stride. A hitter can stride past center. So, if you want to correct a hitter who's maybe they're getting long back here, they're dropping their hands, and then they're passing center. So if like right now my head is centered on the camera, if I load back and then I come back to center, I should come back to center and then rotate, and my head should stay still right here. If you record your player and they load back and they come to center and then they pass center to hit, then they're going to be getting long on the backside and on the front side. Their stride on the stride leg, you can work on keeping the hitter's heel up and have them landing on their like ball of their foot. So you can have them work on taking step after step back and forth, tapping their front foot and making sure they're not getting too much weight over their front leg. That's something that you can work on. But your stride, even if you break down hitters that are taking strides on their front legs, if they have a high leg kick or a small leg kick, or just they basically take a baby little step, they're always landing soft if they're a successful hitter. There's not one hitter in professional softball or professional baseball who's going to be landing heavy on that front foot, even if they're taking a really big leg kick. And I know girls and guys that have made it to high levels that have high leg kicks, and those things that they get a lot of momentum there, but it comes down soft. And then I know that there's some that don't have any stride. They don't need it. They're big, they're strong. They don't need the extra momentum in their body, and so they don't have to utilize that, and that cuts out a little of movement, and it makes them more successful. So I hope that can answer the question that he had.
Totally. So what, as we're wrapping up in time, what would you say is the most common, just natural problem that that these girls are having that you're correcting for, and how some coaches that are watching could maybe keep an eye out for that?
I think the biggest thing that I see coming in is strength nowadays. I think we've moved along from having, a few hundred years ago, we probably had kids out on the ranches, on the farms, and they're lifting things and doing a lot of physical labor. Now, even when I played three sports in high school. I played two sports in college. Nowadays, we're really sport specific. So you can't, even my daughter, she's into softball, year round, and there's no time for doing a lot. Even chores around our house become tough for her to do, with her curriculum, her training, and all the tournaments that she goes through around the country. So I would say that if with your team, if you can work on good eating habits, and strength, and get them on those kind of programs young, where they're training their whole body, fast twitch muscles, the big strong muscles. Then when they come to me as a young hitter, their mechanics, just their body mechanics and their strength and their body awareness is going to be so far ahead, where I'll be able to, help them. Like, I guess a good example would be if I was used to lifting things all day long and putting them on a shelf, or doing a bunch of manual labor, I would learn where that sweet spot was with my core and my arms, where I'm strong, so I don't hurt my back. And that's just something you learn. You're not going to learn that if you're not doing those kind of things, and so if they can do that, I think that makes my job, or any coach's job, much better. And I think the mechanic flaw that I see, besides the strength and all that kind of stuff, is the head movement. So if you can teach your hitters at a young age to keep a very still head, and simply, you can just take a ball or draw an X in front of home plate, and when they hit, they're looking at their pitcher, and when they swing and they hit, to make sure that their head stays perfectly still. That's something that can help me too, because as that ball speeds up, if your head's not still, you can't hit.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. Jeff Jones says, "Happy birthday, John." Is it your birthday today?
Thank you, man. Tomorrow, I'm a Valentine's Day.
Tomorrow.
Baby. Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. We don't have as much time as I'd like to go through all these, but there's a lot of comments praising you. So it looks like you've been doing a really good job. So that's awesome. Well, congrats and happy birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Cool. Well, and to remind our audience, if you want to win this charcoal helmet and get a one-on-one session with John Denny, all you have to do is tag a parent or coach and share this video to be eligible to win. And we will announce that winner next week, where we'll be having another live show, another giveaway, and we'll be taking care of you guys here in the softball community with more intriguing content, more stuff like this. I think today's was really fun. We'd love to have you on again at some point, John.
Awesome, man.
But yeah, I'll let you have the last word. Is there any other things you'd like to say to our audience?
Oh man, just work hard, never disrespect the field, always run on the field, run off the field, and be respectful and good communication.
Sweet, sweet. Thanks, John. I appreciate everything, and
Thank you guys.
we'll see you guys. See you guys next week.
Bye.